Hi everybody, my name is Kenton DeYoung. This is Kenton DeYoung Travel, and today we're exploring Dawson City. I just finished up this fantastic downtown walking tour with Parks Canada, learning about some of the weird and quirky things that happen here in Dawson City, and talk about some of the land settlements, some of the hockey team that came out of Dawson City that went and played in the Stanley Cup. They talked about some of the advertisements, some of the Gold Rush, Klondike jokes and stories. One that really stuck with me was one about these two ladies that came. Sorry about the airplane if you can hear that. About two ladies that came from New York to wanting to see what this was all about during the Klondike Gold Rush days, and they came up on the river as opposed to hiking in like all the other stampeders had to do. And with them, they brought a whole sort of amazing stuff. They brought grand piano, a bowling lane, ice cream machine. I think it was 24 or 48 award-winning pigeons, 2 parakeets, a parrot, just a whole bunch of stuff. And set up on West Dawson, which is on the other side of the river. I won't be going there today. And they just, it was just this amazing. These two wealthy women surrounded by all these Gold Rush wannabe Klondike miners in the early, around 1899, 1898, somewhere around there. Anyway, I'll show you a bit around Dawson City. You can kind of see what the city has. I did some of this yesterday before my tour of Tombstone, so I might interject the footage here, or I might put in the last video. I'm not sure. Either way, we'll do that in post. You guys won't worry about that. I'll show you around Dawson City now, and if we go to museums, which I plan to see today, I'll show you inside of those too. Unfortunately, because the time of year, a lot of things are shutting down. They kind of have until the end of middle of September, beginning of October, and this place gets cold and the river freezes and things close down. So we're kind of at the end of the tourist season. In fact, a lot of things I actually wanted to see are already closed. Unfortunately, also the day I'm here today is Wednesday. All of the can shows at the bars all happen on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I can't see any of those either. But we do plan to get the Sourtoe Cocktail later today. We'll see how that plays out. So we're looking, I believe it's north of Dawson City. You can kind of see the landslide there on the mountain. Now they say when you're coming up the Yukon River from Whitehorse, you'd almost at Dawson City because you could see the landslide. But the story goes, and I am going to mispronounce this, and I am very sorry that I do this, that the native people here, named the Klondike Ship, said that there was a group of cannibals here long before Dawson City was made, long before the gold was discovered, and that the cannibals were chased up the hill, and the avalanche, so the landslide was caused to get rid of them and kill them. And they say at the bottom of the pile of rubble, you can still sometimes find their bones. I don't know if I'll go over there because it's pretty far into the woods, and I'm still pretty sore from my hike yesterday around Tombstone, so I don't think we'll be going that way to find the bones, but that is the same direction as the Typhoid Cemetery I want to visit. So we might get that way later today, we might not. Either way, super cool history, super cool story. We do plan to visit the Indigenous Museum here. The name I forget, we'll visit it later, and learn more about Indigenous First Nation culture and history up here in Dawson City. I thought a good place to start our tour of Dawson City would be at the Dan-Ojazo Cultural Center. Now they said on the Parks Canada tour they're trying to promote pre-Klondike, pre-Gold Rush days of the Yukon. We're talking about the Indigenous people who lived here and their lives and their way of life and their culture before the Stampeders came in and kind of changed everything. So I thought we should start at the beginning and kind of work our way through the history of the city. I even heard there's now a Dawson City museum that's open, so I want to check that out as well. But for now, we'll start with the Dan-Ojazo Cultural Center. Currently, they're having the Land is Medicine exhibit going on here, and it kind of shows some different parts of natural things you might find around the Yukon this time of year. You see some rose chips, some Labrador tea, some cold foot, some juniper. And what the artist did, Faye Chamberlain, she used these to make face masks for the different seasons of the Yukon. So here they see some fall face masks that they made up here. She made, sorry. But my favorite is this one down here called the Imperfect Storm. I'll get a little closer so you can see it. Now pay attention to those little red things that look kind of like the coronavirus, right? So if you actually read the sign, it says, about halfway down, beaded coronavirus designs can be seen floating among the winter snowflakes in the imperfect storm mask. Beating the virus gives a face to the faceless foe. The mask is also a reminder that even though the virus is floating in the air, so is the beauty of nature. And I really love that too. And over here, I'll just swing over this way. We have some of the spring and summer masks, which I think are so cool. Look at this bear here. All with natural stuff just coming off the ground. That is so cool to see. Just finished up at the Cultural Center where I got to learn a little bit more about the Klondike Witchen, which I think was the correct pronunciation. I think I got it closer this time. The people who lived here before the Klondike Gold Rush, and how they settled along the banks, and how they used nature and natural resources for everyday use. How they used berries, how they used ravens, like the one that flew right past me. Raven feathers, how they used birch trees and birch wood, and just about the way of life they had before the Klondike Gold Rush. And then how when the Gold Rush came and all the stampeders came up here, how Chief Isaac had the idea of moving the people out of here and down the river instead. And he also knew that the way of life that they had was under attack. So he took the cultural stories, the traditions, and they took it and taught the people in Alaska. Probably the same people, but perhaps just cousins of them, and taught them the natural ways of life here and the natural songs, the native songs, native traditions. And then once the gold rush was over and the stampeders all left, they then brought the culture back. And they've been working on that for the past century, teaching people about the lost way of life. But the same story here happened back in Saskatchewan with the residential school program, and how generations and generations of Indigenous people lost their culture due to, I don't want to say whitewashing it, but pretty much that's what it was. Removing it from who they were, from their beliefs, from their language, and then left them with nothing. And these generations of people, they weren't Indigenous anymore, but they weren't white, and they were lost. So the new introduction of these original cultural stories and songs and traditions helps bring back how things used to be. And I just found the Cultural Center to be so interesting and so fascinating. You know, you hear similar stories back home, but here they talked about how Chief Isaac had the knowledge that this was going to be a problem, and he taught other people the traditions and the stories and the songs, so that when the time came, they could bring them back. And I think that is just amazing foresight on Chief Isaac's part. And I don't know, I just found the cultural center to be so interesting and so amazing, and it was a great place to really start and talk about Dawson City before we talk about the gold rush. We talk about the writers and the authors and everything that people know this place for. It's great to talk about what it was in the beginning. Here is the Visitors Information Center in Dawson City. It's owned by Parks Canada, so you can come in here pretty much any time during regular working hours, learn about the city, learn about lots of the historic sites around the city. There's a Parks Canada van right now. You can even learn about, this is where you would go on, this is where you would meet up on the tours, like the one I just took around downtown Dawson City, as well as the other tours that happen around the area. I think they do 3 walking tours in Dawson City, as well as some other tours around outside the city. Jeez, what a busy road! Including a tour of the number 4 dragger, just outside the city. Talks about some of the old mining they used to do back in the 30s and 40s. I won't be going on that tour because I don't have a car anymore. I had to return my car this morning that I took out to Tombstone yesterday. So I won't be going on that tour, but that's okay because there's still plenty to see here in Dawson City. On the other side of the road, and now of course the traffic has stopped, on the other side of the road is the Northwest Territories Visitor Center. But as you're probably not surprised, hello, the Northwest Territories Visitors Information Center is closed as of August 28th. The Northwest Territory border is closed to leisurely travelers. Dempster Highway is open and fair driving condition. The Arctic Circle is on the Yukon side of the border. For more information, so I think that's because of COVID. They just completely closed the Northwest Territories. So I don't think, a couple days ago I had trouble getting here, and I considered flying into Nuvik. I'm thinking maybe if I had done that, I wouldn't have even be able to get in. So unfortunately it's closed, but hey, maybe by this time next year or whenever you get up here, it'll be open again. So I'm inside the Camera Obscurica, and what we have here is a little window that goes outside the world, and as you can see, a big black empty room. But what's really neat about this camera is that it shines the light of the world back inside. Now of course you can't see anyone. Oh, there's someone walking right there. That's so nifty. So the camera outside flips and rotates what it sees. Can we see outside? Do you see what we're looking at in real life? No, you can't see out there. Oh, kind of. There you go. The camera then flips that and puts it against the wall, but upside down. That's the coolest thing ever. This is the SS Kino. It was one of the ships that took materials from deeper into the Yukon that the SS Klondike we saw on Whitehorse couldn't get to, and it would transfer the goods around here in Dawson City to the Klondike to carry on south. Now, it is also a Parks Canada National Historic Site, but it is closed, unfortunately, for now. It closed on Monday, Labor Day Monday, and that was the day I flew into the city. So I can't go on it, but I imagine it's very similar to the one I saw in Whitehorse. Sorry, the traffic is. You know, for a small town, there sure is a lot of traffic on this main road. You can see here the paddle wheels, both with the wheel and with the little blades at the bottom for steering. And you can see the smokestack on top. It's a very impressive ship, I suppose it would be. And unfortunately we can't go inside, but they have refurbished it and cleaned it up and made it into quite the sight to see. I saw several videos already about what they did to the ship and how they tried to make it look as authentic as it originally was. It dates back again to the early Klondike days and then throughout the following decades. So it's an older ship, but still one that you can see they care greatly about a lot, as you see a Parks Canada employee is working on it right now. Very cool and very worth coming back to see in the summer, not so much in the fall. So I'm trying to find the museum, and I'm just like looking around, trying to figure out, where is it, right? And there's all this construction here, right? Like it goes all the way down. So look on the map, like where is the Dawson City Museum? And it's there, on the other side of this construction zone. So I have to walk all the way over there to walk all the way back. I know it's not that big of a deal, but when you're already sore from hiking, it's like, oh, because I came from that direction and I was gonna walk around. I have to go back. Oh well. We made it to the Dawson City Museum. We're gonna go inside, see what we can learn about the city. And after this, we're gonna go to the Rapid Service cabin where Rapid Service used to live and write. And then the Jack London Museum. And I think we're pretty much done for the day. There's other stuff to see in Dawson City, but I want to kind of do some drone stuff before the day gets too late. And also I want to go eat. Haven't eaten yet today. Should eat 3 times a day or more. And also I want to prepare for the Sourtoe Cocktail, I'm sorry, later tonight. So maybe the last museum, but we still have lots more to see. So the Dawson City Museum opened for the first day yesterday. So their Google listings are a little out of date. It still says that they are temporarily closed, but I know they're not because I was talking to someone on the Parks Canada tour earlier today. She's on Instagram at Vagabond Bonnie, and she was telling me that she went here yesterday. It was absolutely fantastic, and she highly recommended it. And even when I was on CBC a couple days ago, Ellen Jones recommended I visit this museum, so I had to come visit it. But unfortunately, the listings online doesn't say when they're open. And I tried to give them a call, but they didn't answer. But that happens, right? People are busy. So I showed up at 3:45 and they closed at 4. So I had 15 minutes to quickly run through the museum to see everything. And I gotta say, it was worth it. Like, you gotta come to this museum. It's really, really interesting. I absolutely loved it. Apologize if you can hear the trucks and stuff, but I can't film anywhere else. I really recommend it. It talked about not only some of the indigenous side of this area and their culture, but also about the stampeders and the millionaires that came out of it and the people who suffered and didn't make any money. Talked about some of the ideas people had for mining gold. There was one that showed like a deep sea helmet. The guy brought it. He wanted to dive into the Yukon River to get gold nuggets off the floor. You don't really dive in the rapidly moving Yukon River. And he talked about, some of the women of the Klondike who transformed Dawson City. He talked about, can't think of her name, Klondike Kate. I think it's Klondike Kate. I talked about the women I talked earlier who came from New York, and they brought with them like parrots and birds and an ice cream machine and bowling lanes and a grand piano. And it just talked about the people who made this city what it is today. Talked about, I could go on and on, but I only got 15 minutes to run through. I think it was 4 or 5 exhibits, big exhibits. So it took a lot of pictures, and I'll be reading over those pictures later when I have time to sit down and read everything. But this museum, definitely worth checking out. It also has a great gift shop. This is the first time I visited a gift shop on this trip, and I finally got some gift shop stuff. I got some really cool postcards too. I think I might send those off to some of my followers. Let me know in the comments if you want a postcard, and I can send it to you. Anyway, really worth checking out the Dawson City Museum. I would put this at the top of your list, maybe slightly below the cultural center I went to earlier, but very much worth the visit. And again, they close at 4, and they open at 11. So plan that accordingly. When I am recording this, Google doesn't have those numbers on there, so my mistake. I did what I could, but plan that accordingly from 11 to 4 when this museum is open, and it's really worth your time. So I'm finally here at the Jack London Museum. This is one of the places that I wrote about on my blog many years ago when I'm making a fictitious trip to the Yukon. And said that you have to visit this place. And I thought, I can't not come to the Yukon and not visit the Jack London Museum. Now, unfortunately, like everything else in Dawson City, is not open today. It's only open on the weekends. It opens next Friday, which is I am back in Whitehorse. Now, the sign here says it's open daily, So we'll try after what happened at the Dawson City Museum. But I have a feeling we are out of luck on this. But anyway, the grounds are open. We can walk around the grounds. Not much to see, but at least we're going to see it. So here is the inside of the Jack London cabin where Jack London lived while in the Klondike. Now we can't go inside. There's bars. But you can see behind, he has some snowshoes on the wall. You can see the beds with furs on it. A box with looks like a gold pan, like a gold sifting pan. You got a table, and of course over there's a picture of Jack London when he was 21 and he came up into the Klondike. Of course, he isn't known for his time in the Klondike as a gold miner. He's known for what he wrote about the Klondike and about the Yukon in general. That's too bad that it's closed. I can't go inside, but just to see it, to see the place where Jack London lived, that's pretty cool. When I was in grade 5 or 6, our teacher loved Jack London, and we had to read all of his stories. So to see the place he lived, the guy who wrote all those stories that we had to read in elementary school, unbelievable. Such a cool feeling to see the place where such a powerful writer lived. Oh, sends shivers up my spine. I love it so much. It's just too bad the place is closed. I can't go inside, but I've seen it, and that is like amazing. Really worth checking out, especially if you are a Jack London fan like myself. Here is the cabin of Robert Service. Now, I don't know Robert Service by name, but I know him by his works, such as the shooting of Dan McGrew and the cremation of Sam McGee. Now, he didn't live here during the Klondike. He came here about 10 years after and learned about the stories people were saying about what happened during the Klondike days, and then kind of rehashed and made them more romantic and modernized them. And people fell in love with the stories. He's one of the greatest selling authors of the 20th century. And I'm sorry to say I didn't know him by name. I knew him by his works instead. But of course, as all things are right now in Dawson City, his cabin is closed. There's a nice path here that kind of goes up and around it, but I don't know if we'll go that way because I am still pretty sore from a hike to Tombstone. There's also a little sitting area over there. I imagine they do something there in the summer. And the gate here was closed. We'll close it now. We didn't go very far inside because, trespassing is wrong. But I'm excited to see the cabin of Robert Service. And I would like to one day see inside it. I didn't know it was here when I planned this trip. I didn't know who he was until I finally, learned about him by just wondering who is this man's cabin, why he's so important. And then I realized he was the writer of the shooting of Dan McGrew and the cremation of Sam McGee. So I realized I had to go see his cabin. Again, I can't say if it's worth visiting inside, but it's definitely worth seeing if you're a fan of his works. At the downtown hotel in Dawson City, and we're just about to do the Sourtoe Cocktail shot, which involves taking a shot like this, the human toe in it. I'm gonna get a guy I just met here, Dennis, to record me doing it, but and I'll be helping him record it, so I won't be doing it right away. It'll be in a couple minutes, but for you guys, dear viewer, it'll be right away.
Are you ready? And you were there until you were like 34, 35, and then you got alcohol and
You weren't. Too much time in your mouth. A bit chewy. You go for a big swallow. 25 minutes long. And so, in life is big part. Drink it fast. You drink it slow. But your lips must touch the snarly tongue. Just your lips. No teeth, no tongue, no punch. Sancho. You got it. So, okay. Thank you so much.
So that concludes my time in Dawson City. I got my certificate to kind of prove that I did the toe shot. And I'm ready to pack it in for the night. I might stay up late, see if there's some northern lights coming out tonight like there was last night, but we will see if I make it that long because I am pretty tired from this long trip to Dawson City. So, as always, my name is Kenton DeYoung. This is Kenton DeYoung Travel. I don't know where I'll see you next, maybe in Whitehorse, but wherever it is, I'll see you next time. Wherever that is. Thanks for coming along today, guys. Bye, guys.